you. Awesome. So you guys can hear me okay? Great. So I will be talking about pivx, but my topic is around branding and marketing crypto in general. I had a great chat with Vincent many months ago, and he asked specifically as he was seeing the trajectory of pivx in 2017 and wanted someone to come and talk about marketing and branding in general. So the first part of this section, I'm going to share our philosophy as a branding company, brought in by pivx, well, previously another name, brought in to help brand it. And then we'll talk about how that marketing strategy and that brand strategy is brought into the pivx brand. So quick history way back, a friend of mine came up and talked to me and said, you know, Chad, can you help us rename and rebrand, rename and brand a new coin? And I said, sure. What's the name of the coin? He said, darknet. So I pretty much said, like, you know what, I could come up with any name better than darknet for crypto. So I said yes. And so we went into a project of naming, some research, worked with the community, the developers, and we came up with pivx, PIVX, private instant verified transaction. And so that's where the quick history. But let me tell you a little bit how we got there. So when you think of branding, sometimes images come to mind. And way back in the day when the term branding, you know, the word was used, you might have seen a symbol like this, and it looks pretty painful. But this is how they established within cattle and horses and other animals that is mine, and this is my brand. And but when you think of branding today, I think there's a misnomer. There's something that people always gravitate to, and they just say, well, branding is a logo, right? And so you're just barraged by these logos and branding. We have a different philosophy around when people say, will you help us brand us, or can you design a logo? And I always come back to branding, and this is some of the things that we think of when we think of branding. It's not just a logo. Logo is off there on the end. Branding is product benefits, price, customer service, company name, value proposition, the idea of repetition, strong impression. That's what branding is, and that's what we bring to the table with our companies. So branding objectives, there's 5 that we have that we brought into when we helped pivx. My company is called Rhubarb Media. Nice plug. In our Discord, I'm the Rhubarbarian, and so just so you know who I am and where I come from. So we have 5 major objectives when we think about branding. One is to help consumers see the brand as unique. The brand needs to say something that no other product, service, or message is saying. So if you're thinking about your own company, if you're thinking about the company you are now, you might be like, hey, we're logoed, we're branded. You still might want to take a look at these objectives and see if they're actually applying to your company, brand, or service. The second is to convey a high level of relevance. The consumer needs to see the brand as essential to their everyday life. It's very critical to have a strong brand. So 3 is to break out from the competition through differentiators. So the brand needs to stand out in areas like sales, marketing, product services, and client care. Fourthly, to affect the customer at the level of emotion. This is something that I don't see in a lot of brand companies so much, is that they're focused on visual, and word mark or whatever. If you want to know what real good marketing is, it's a combination of a narrative, a story, a memory that you evoke, and strong emotion. You put those together with a nice logo, great colors, good name, and you've got a pretty powerful brand. For us, branding objectives needs to include emotion, connecting with the client, with the market, with emotion. The consumer must feel deeply about the brand. And finally, to cause the public to fall in love with you. So the end product is that they love you, the product, the service, the message. And our goal was to have people fall in love with pivx. And we took all those objectives and we started to work with them within the pivx branding process. Really, it comes down to love mark. There's a great book out there called Love Marks. If you want to research and read a good book, grab it. Love marks. Love marks reach your heart as well as your mind, creating an intimate emotion connection that you just can't live without ever. So you take a brand away, and people will find a replacement. You take a love mark away, people will protest its absence. Love marks are relationships, not a mere transaction. You don't just buy love marks, you embrace them passionately, and that's why you never want to let them go. So you can see how deep and that level of emotion is when we're coming to branding from our perspective and what we try to do within pivx. Really, you want to get people to the one quadrant, a love mark. You don't want just a brand. You don't want just a product or a fad. You really want high love and high respect. Very important. Sometimes people, products and service message, they're okay with just being a brand, low love, high respect. You know, it's useful. When people complain about it, but they just can't live without, that kind of thing. Or if they're just a product, not a lot of love and not so much respect, but hey, I need electricity, I need water, those kind of things. Or if you're just a fad where there's a super high love, or it's like big passion, but it's very short, and therefore low respect. And you can kind of see within even the crypto market who some of these are in your mind. And then love mark is a high love and high respect, and that's what we're going for with our product. So the question is, how do I connect my message, product, or service um, with the right community? And my statement to this is that you start by understanding the community you want to be a part of, not the one you want to market to. Very different way to approach branding and marketing is, hey, we have this product and you need it. Sell, sell, shill, shill, push, push, high hype. As opposed to, as a community, we decide who we are, what we want to, what values we have, who are the people that we'd like to like our product because we want to like them. You start to put a picture of, like, if we could create a community around our product, our message, or service, who would those people be like? That's where we want to start with our branding process. Understanding the community that you want to be part of. It's a big issue when you come to branding a company. A lot of people just want to go straight to tactics, right? Show me a logo. What's the color? What's the name? It's like, just give me the stuff, right? And a lot of good branding companies will say, no, you need to start with strategy. Okay, this is important, and we do this a lot with our companies. We say, hey, take a break from the colors and the logos you like and whatever. Let's get into some strategy. Our company and what we did with Rhubarb, we took it even further. We went down to the burden level, passion and mission. So what's a burden? A burden is something that you love about the world or something you hate. When you start from that perspective, and then you start to see how that your product, service, and message could apply, all the way up, you find your mission, your skills, your passion, and then you get to strategy, and then all these other things come into play: values, character, assumptions, beliefs, skills, attitudes. When all this is the foundation of your brand, your public brand, you have something pretty powerful. So we spend a lot of time as companies on the do aspect, the tactical aspect, asking questions of what is it or how, when really we want to get down underneath the idea and talk about B, like who and why. So this is another aspect that we brought into pivx to create what we call an ethos, a guiding belief or ideals that characterize a community, a nation, or ideology. That's what an ethos is. We wanted to see what we could do with a crypto community to create community and to create that ethos. So how do I connect my message or product or service with the right community? How do we help our clients tell their story? And that's the critical aspect, is you're not just selling a product, you're actually helping the clients in their narrative, their story. You're helping them, in a sense, tell their story. So you're part of, you end up being part of their narrative, and they're part of yours. And so, but it comes down to telling the story. It flows out of a strong community-based ethos driven by story. The big word that I want you to go away with, and you'll see it in our banner and our tags, is community. We're a community-centric currency. still based on privacy and decentralization and real world use. But the basis of the brand that we help create with the community is on community. So the best businesses know how to create this community. But how do we do it? How do we create the community? You can't just say, hey, let's be a community, right? There has to be something that you do to accomplish that. And this is where I get really philosophical, really deep into this. You might recognize some of this as like the hierarchy of needs. Everything that we do and try and help our clients, if they want to brand a product, a message, or service, I say has to come through these 4 elements. Touch on them, all of them, one of them, whatever. If you want to actually create a community, a tribe, passionate fans around what you're doing, you need to go through these B attitudes. So everyone wants to be loved, right? You want to be loved? Loved. Yes, we all want to be loved. You want to be safe and secure. These are just needs of every human, right? You actually want to be unique. You have gifts and skills that you want to be appreciated through, right? And you don't want to be the same old somebody else. You just want to do your path and be appreciated of that uniqueness. And we all want to belong to a tribe, to a family, to a group. So I put all these things together when thinking about branding, thinking about crypto in general. Um, as I was introduced to cryptocurrency about a year and a half ago, so I'm pretty young, it was amazing how, at least from my perspective, the community that you go into Slack or Discords, there's a lot of aggression, a lot of people that are angry, a lot of f-bombs, a lot of insults, and you know you try and critique something, and somebody just comes back and digitally punches you, or it seemed like a very hostile environment. Not all the time, but it was there. And I took a look at our brand strategy and said, oh, how can we change that within our community? How can we do that? So we just started with some messaging. We started with individuals within the community adhering to kind of this philosophy of like, hey, let's be kind, let's be generous, let's tip each other, let's celebrate the differences. If somebody has a really bad idea, let's not like diss them. Let's like, hey, that was pretty good, but what's something else that we could go for, right? Like that environment, because people want to be loved, safe, and be unique and belong. So what did we do with pivx? The pivx brand is it was very thought through. One, for the color itself, we looked at cryptocurrency overall, and we found that the color purple was not really represented. But when we looked at, we researched purple, we realized, it means a lot of things to different countries and cultures. A lot of people see it as royalty. Some communities, it's mourning, right? So there's this high range of emotions around the color purple. And so we decided to go for it. We created this symbol in the shape of a shield. It's 2 purposes. One is because we're a privacy coin and we're about security and safety. We wanted the shield to represent that within our brand. Also because we wanted to have a community vibe, a tribe feel. When you look at family crests, they're built on shields a lot. So we thought this whole vibe of this family crest plus the shield came together and created what we have now as our icon. So I could show lots of stuff, artwork that we've done and marketing and things. Some of the things that I think we've done differently than others is we're not so, there's not a lot of pretense in what we do. We're just like, hey, let's be a little whimsical, let's be truthful, and maybe not just always with high tech and everything. So I could go through a lot of this stuff that we've done and helping people see what pivx is. You can be your own bank, and a lot of these ads. I could talk about the incredible technology that's behind the pivx cryptocurrency. We have a privacy suite that will become complete very soon. That includes these 5 aspects. So private identity, private network, private spend and send. Soon, hopefully within a week, private rewards. And then eventually this year, a private exchange. So if you ask, who's the privacy coin of the market, we think pivx is. And so we could talk about all this. The technology involved in this, incredible. I don't know much about it. I worship the devs. They're awesome. We could talk about that. pivx 11. These are the kind of an inclusive thing of everything that's awesome about pivx, and we market all these aspects in different ways. So we market the tech, the community, the support, um, all these things are marketed within the pivx community. But what did we do to infuse this methodology, this philosophy of branding a cryptocurrency? How did we accomplish helping people to feel loved, safe, unique, and that they belong within the tribe? What did we do with pivx? So there's a bunch of things that we decided we wanted to do up front. One is we wanted to be inclusive.